Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
So
So
there's no
I've
Tara today.
no,
There's no Brent Ozar.
no. Brent is in Mexico doing Mexican things. I'm gonna plug in these. I'm gonna wear these. I'm gonna be festive. I'm gonna decorate
Oh
myself for the
boy.
holidays. This is totally unplanned. I just had these. I was gonna do something with the Christmas lights, but I didn't figure out what I was gonna do with them.
As
Now
soon
I'm
as you plug
doing
it in, we're gonna lose you because you would have blown a circuit or
no. I'm
fuse or
doing a
something.
very American thing here.
Trip
I am
trip the breaker.
untangling Christmas lights. Hang on a second. There we go.
Oh boy. That's uh that's festive.
This is a good idea.
Hashtag
Great
good idea.
moments in presenting. All right. Now I'm feeling
All right.
good.
Get your questions in now.
Yeah, before I fry, before I light on fire, because boy howdy, these lights are hot. Woo-wee. If you guys were here, you could smell me burning slowly. It's kind of fun.
Speaking of smell, my daughter's been
Oh boy.
using a pair of shoes for like the last 5 months
Uh-huh.
on to practice soccer, right? So she's
Yeah.
wearing things like 7 to 8 times a week, right?
Yeah.
And the last couple weeks, these things just started to reek. I mean,
Yeah.
just like I can't sleep at night because the shoes are in her room
Oh
type
boy.
bad. So I just I just dumped them in water with soap and I tried to just flush out the stench of it. And that
Nope.
water was so brackish, ugly.
I think it's just
Mm.
time for a new pair of shoes, Richie.
Well,
Let him go.
well, I mean, these are her practice boots, right? So these are the ones she wears to practice, not the ones she wears to games,
Yeah.
right? And then I bought her another pair on top of that because she wears these shoes more than any of the shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's
Mm-hmm.
always out there. So now she has two practice shoes and another new game shoes are
Uh-huh.
coming this week, and it's like she still wants to use these shoes, and it's like, okay,
Are they good luck of some sort? Are they
she likes
protected
them.
shoes?
No, she likes them. She digs the shoes. I mean, I don't blame
I'm
her.
I like some of my shoes too, but if they ever started keeping family members awake at night because of the smell, I would volunteer to get new
But
shoes.
but here's the thing, it don't bother her, right? So it doesn't bother her. She's
No,
like,
that's what I'm saying. They other
everyone else on
people.
the pitch smells. Why not me? I mean, doesn't bug me.
I had a roommate like that who had a pair of Adidas Sambas that he would like come home from work and take them off and put them by like the front door, and like 5 minutes later, the smell would just waft to the apartment. Just like, look, I'm either gonna throw out your shoes or I'm gonna buy you a new pair of shoes. Either way, those things are going. It's like one way.
So
No more.
somebody asked me here on the questions if I play D&D, and the question is yes, not frequently enough. And do I watch Critical Role? And the answer is yes,
Oh boy,
I
can't
do.
can't
And if I'm
out-nerd
caught
Richie.
up, and its answer is no, because I haven't seen last night's Talks Machina, and after that I'll be caught up.
Well,
So that's a question. That's the only question I'm answering today. So have fun, Eric.
okay, sounds good. Bye, Richie. I'm just cleaning up some of the non-question uh, things in the question pane, and just because it is officially 12:16,
It's
we're
Merry
gonna.
Ericmas.
I
Did you?
suppose we're gonna
That's
answer
what I call
questions.
Ericmas. It's good.
Woohoo! It is so hot with these lights on. So Marcy asks, do you guys have a T-SQL advanced developer class that focuses on writing good SQL? No, we don't. I think the only person I know who has a class like that is Itzik Ben-Gan. I don't know how hard it is to get in and do that stuff. We don't have anything on like writing it. We just have stuff on tuning it. So if you want like stuff from scratch, you might learn something from mastering query tuning. There's some pretty good advice on like fixing queries in there. Maybe not on like how you should write them, but I think once you I think one at least for me, like once I got like sort of deep enough into query tuning, there was enough carryover between like, okay, now that I know how I would tune a query, I'm going to write this query in a way that I don't have to tune it later. So this, like, I think once you learn how to, fix a query, then writing them from scratch, you kind of just like naturally get better at that. So mastering query tuning might be a good fit for that. But if you're really just looking for like how do I write query type stuff, I would, instead of wasting like a ton of money on training, I would probably just start with a few books. The same fellow who has the classes Itzhak Ben Gan has a few books on T-SQL querying that are just wonderful. One of them is a collaboration with a bunch of smart people like Adam Mechanic and stuff. So I would just get those books and not like read them cover to cover, but just kind of like as you're doing something, check the contents and see if like there's a chapter or a couple pages on what you're actually doing, and then see if you can get any help from the book. Writing queries is, I mean, it's a tough thing to do, tough thing to teach people how to do, because like everyone has such different starting points with it, and such different needs, like depending on kind of like what their data is and what they're looking for. There's a big difference between like writing a few small like joins between tables and like writing really complex like analysis type queries that do stuff.
Right. I mean, I think really the key to writing good T-SQL is writing performance SQL. And, once you've gotten into that, hey, this is how the engine works and this is how certain queries react, to, oh, my thing just finished. How certain queries react to the engine, that's how you start writing good T-SQL. Understanding that cursors are bad and sargability and those type of things, that's how you start writing good T-SQL. If you want to get into more advanced T-SQL stuff, I would have considered that good T-SQL. That's kind of authoring and getting into things like windowing functions and stuff like that. That's all, something. I think it's something else. It's not necessarily like good T-SQL. It's just
kind of just stuff you learn how to do along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Christopher asks, where for scalar functions, have you ever used the option returns null on null input? I know scalars are bad, but any possible examples of drawbacks to this? I guess like if you were depending on the output of that function to like concatenate into another string, then you're looking at additional check to see if that's null to replace it with something so it doesn't make your whole string null. But really that's scalar valued functions right now are just so bad for so many things that I wouldn't worry about that. It's like if I don't know. I can't even think of like a good can't even think of an upbeat analogy for this holiday season that would make sense for this. I don't know. It's like it's not going to help you or hurt you either way. I would just if you're going to return a null value possibly sometimes, then be careful about how you're using that null value, because nulls have a lot of surprises in them. All right, I think that about does it for that. Theo says, TDE is hacked. Is it still safe to use certificates? Don't ask me this question. I am not good at security. I had a bungle of a time just using 1Password to change some passwords this morning. It was awful. It was not a Merry Christmas for me. Santa left me a lump of 1Password coal. You don't want to trust me with this question. Sorry, Theo. That's someone else. Brian asks, do you know why an index reorg would be so much slower than rebuilds on the same index or similarly sized indexes? We noticed the maintenance was taking longer on the reorgs. As a test, I changed it to rebuild, but it takes 2 or 3 times faster. Yeah, so reorgs are single-threaded. It's like a little Pac-Man that kind of goes along the leaf level of your index and sort of puts things in order. Rebuilds, if you're on Enterprise Edition, have the ability to go parallel and all this other cool stuff. Reorgs also can do something called lob compaction, which can take a long time. I used to run into this all the time when I was dealing with relativity indexes, because there were some quite large tables in there, and there were some quite large indexes, and there was a whole bunch of lob columns, because that software is built by crazy people who let end users add columns to tables on a whim. And everyone says, I need the biggest possible column. I have no idea what's going to show up here. So they would make all their columns in varchar max, and then when reorgs would run and they would do lob compaction, then God, boy, howdy, that was a long time. So the bigger your table is, the longer those reorgs take, especially if you're doing lob compaction. I set like sort of an internal threshold at around like 50 to 100 gigs where I'm saying screw the reorg, I'm just going to rebuild this thing if I need to. But even then, I'm not going to rebuild all that many indexes. I'm not going to do all that much index maintenance. I'm going to stick a link into the WebEx howdy doody thing as soon as I find it, because I'm not that bright. But I have to open up a web thing. What do they call that thing, Richie, that goes on the internet, shows you things that people did?
Facebook.
Bruger,
Twitter.
Browser.
The dark web.
Yes, the dark web.
Yes.
Group.
Yes.
No, not groupie.org. Groupby.org. .org. The indexes. Because no one ever believes me when I say this stuff. I'm going to give you a link to Brent's session at GroupBy about why defragmenting your indexes isn't helping, and hopefully that will. No, that didn't copy or paste. It's a good day for me. Everything's going well. All right, so I'm going to stick that link in there. But yeah, that's the bottom line on why rebuilds are generally faster. Reorgs just, I don't know, kind of lightweight and wimpy. Let's see. Any further thoughts on that, Richie? You don't have to. I'm just. It's okay. Yes, there we go. I think Richie deserves some Christmas lights too.
I created index yesterday.
Wow, did it make you delete so much faster?
No.
No? Okay.
It was a small table.
Why'd you create an index on a small table? Why are you wasting Brent's disk money?
Because it needed it.
Okay. Well, fine then. Let's see. I'm going to read this question first because it sounds suspicious to me. One of our SQL admins wants to do daily image backups on a fringe SQL server on VMware, but I'm trying to convince him this isn't sufficient since he wants to be able to recover to at least the last hour. What are some concerns? Well, I mean, you can still take So I have no idea what kind of backups your system is looking to take. If it's a snapshot of just the whole server and all the drives, then it can be kind of a bummer. There are some backup, like there are even some VM backups, like Veeam, that will play nicely with your log backups or differential backups. So you could restore. You could restore your database and then restore more backups on top of it to get you to a better point in time, but I would need more information on that before I started going off on any sort of tangent. Let's see. Graham asks, how many databases is an appropriate number in an AG? In my case, each database is less than 20. So that depends a lot on how many CPUs you have and on how busy these databases are. With each database that you add in, you're looking at adding in additional synchronization overhead, and that synchronization overhead takes CPU threads, and those CPU threads come from a kind of a limited pool of the SQL Server that spins up based on how many CPUs you have. So really, what you want to do is think about how much hardware you have on this server. It's a great post by I'll throw the link into the chat questions. There's a great post by a guy named Warwick Rudd about availability groups and like things that you can just do massively wrong with them, and it's called What Not to Do When Adding Databases to an Availability Group, and he kind of touches on a lot of this stuff. So like what I would do is think like, okay, if I have like 8 cores in this thing, I only have like 576 or so worker threads that I can send out to run queries and do backups and keep these databases in sync. It's generally not a good idea to hit thread pool weights, because what I've seen on a bunch of client servers is when you have this AG and everything's going fine, and then thread pool comes along and all of a sudden your error log starts filling up with messages about how the AG can't synchronize because it couldn't initialize a thread. So be really careful with the number of AGs or the number of databases you stick in an AG. You can end up several creeks that probably smell like Richie's daughter's shoes.
Oh yeah, no, you don't want that. No, that's terrible.
No, I seem to have lost my light. Adjust here. I was really liking the way this was looking, aside from the heat. So now I'm gonna get back into this. Oh, oops, I put that in the wrong window. Oh man, that's hot. Okay. All right. Let's see. What's a good new question here? I answered that one. Boy, oh boy. Getting to questions is tough. Uh, Jeez. Hi, what would be the best for ETL operations? A heap table or the same table with a clustered index? Um, Usually when I want to do ETL, when I'm loading data in, I don't want any indexes. Indexes only slow me down. Usually I just want to work with a heap and I just want to dump data in as fast as humanly possible. That's one of the few really good things about heaps. One of the few upsides of heaps is that you can just jam data in as really, really quickly and not have to worry about order or any like creating like extra pages. Even like a heap with a non-clustered index on top of it, you're looking at like dumping a bunch of data in the table and then having like that and then having to dump a bunch of data in the index, and it all just kind of stinks. It is not fun. So I would just generally stick with the heap on that.
Yeah, I agree. And typically I would do that for like have a heap, and then most likely I would need an index or two
Hmm.
because I'm doing some sort of transformation on that data. But that would not be a clustered index just because you're constantly flowing that data through. As soon as that you transform, you're going to dump it somewhere else, and then you're going to drop that data at some point. So yeah, hippie.
Hmm. Hmm. Let's see here. Have you all implemented group managed service accounts? Absolutely not. 0% chance of that happening. Uh-uh. No, thank you. Sorry, Rob. Nope, I don't do that. I would if you have questions about stuff like that, Denny Cherry has a book called Securing SQL Server. It's got all sorts of good information about things that have to do with security that I am an idiot with, like 1Password. So please. Let's see here. Let's see. Jim has a question. We are getting insane page latch EX weights because of a multi-statement TVF that splits strings. Let's see. By using string split directly, you're converting the function to an inline TVF is 7 times slower. So Jim, this is a big question, which involves code, right? There's like code involved with like a function that you have and other function options that you've tried. I would post this on dba.stackexchange.com because you could give lots of good examples. As far as why you have the page latch EX weights, it's likely because, if you have a multi-statement table valued function, it's using a table variable, you're putting a bunch of stuff in there. It's going to go to 10 dB. That's what the page latch EXs are most likely going to be stemming from. As far as the fix for that, if you've already tried kind of like the stuff that I would try offhand, there you might want to try like I don't know, like a different CLR version of split string. I know Adam Mechanic wrote one a few years back. I don't know where it is offhand, and I think it would be detrimental for me to try to go search for it right now because all his stuff from SQL blog like is gone and moved and stuff. So post that on dba.stackexchange.com. I know there's a
I
lot of
think
people
I
who
think
are
he did
not busy
a
today.
tech ed session on about that
He might,
CLR.
yeah, he might have,
Yeah,
but I don't recall off the top of my head.
yeah. I think it's on YouTube somewhere, maybe.
Yeah, well, probably a lot of his stuff ends up on YouTube because he's a very, very smart fella. Let's check it. Is that the right URL? That looks like the right URL. All right, there you go, Jim. Off to dba.stackexchange with you. Enjoy that. It'll be a fun time. Everyone loves dba.stackexchange. It's full of so many helpful, smart people. You might even get an answer from Paul White. I don't know. Good times. Julie asks, what controls the subject line for failed jobs set to notify the operator? I have two servers with the same job, but the subject line is different. God, it's been so long since I had to look at that. That is an interesting piece of trivia. I don't know offhand. Uh, Weird. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Wow. I think it's safe to say you
Yeah.
would not be certified, sir.
No, I
You
wouldn't. No.
failed the certification
Yeah.
exam because you missed that
Man.
bit of trivia.
Yeah. God, I'll live. I'll find a way to survive without that. This is why I wish Tara was here because she would know that because
Yeah.
she
Yep.
still probably has agent jobs that like set alarms for her,
Yep.
send her messages while she's on hikes. I don't know. I don't know offhand. All right. Let's see. Chris asks, any experience with SQL Server centralized management server to push policies? Good heavens. Push policies? No, no. I'm sorry that I sent you the link to the thing about availability groups because that was a miscopy and paste on my part. That went to the wrong line. But no, generally I have this something else that I just haven't done any work with because that's not the type of DBA that I cared to be at work. So apologies for not knowing more about using a central management server to push policies out. Anyway, that brings us to the very end of our questions.
Really? No service broker questions for you? Because you're a
No,
big fan of that service broker stuff.
we don't have anything on service broker or replication, and that's fine because these lights are about to make me pass out. So
Hey, if you're
I'm
ever
gonna
cold
get,
in New York over the winter, you now know what to do.
yeah, I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to start giving these lights out to the homeless because I'm frying. I think I'm going to pass out if I don't take these off. So, have a very Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. I hope to see you as long as these lights haven't killed me now in the next week. Adios.